Hi guys, how are you all doing? I hope you're all doing well. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Thank you for joining today. So in today's video, I'm going to show you practically how to extend your study permit. Now I've done a video like this in the past, which actually has helped a number of people. But I've gotten a couple of questions from people and I want to make an updated version of how to extend your study permit. Now if you want to see that, let's get started. Alright guys, so what you would do is that you type out ircc.canada.ca and then this shows up. You click on English and then you scroll down to study. You click on study and then you scroll down. So it seems as though they've kind of changed the outlook of the website. It wasn't always like this. So what you want to do is to look for where it says extend your study permit or restore your status. You click on it and then you read through all of this. The processing time is around 163 days, which is around 5 to 6 months. I don't think it should take that long though. So it's always good and always best for you to submit your application way before your study permit expires. Although, in case you submit your application and then your study permit expires, you are still valid. So far, you've submitted an application before it expires. I hope that makes sense. But again, always make sure you submit your application just at least 6 months before it expires so that you have enough time to do all of the things that you're supposed to do and submit it. And then you would have the renewal before it expires. Hope that makes sense. And then you can see here the fees is $150. All right, guys, I apologize for my video. I had to put up my video because my laptop was getting too hot and it was having some problems. So pardon me, but we'll continue without my video. So now to start applying, just click on this, how to apply. And then you can read through all of this just to see what it's saying. But we're looking for how to log into our account. So once you scroll down, you will see where it says create an account or sign in. You click on that. Now, there are two ways to sign in into your account through the GC key username and password and through the Canadian Interact signing partner. But if you're someone that's extending your study permit in Canada, you should have a bank account, right? So just click on Canadian Interact signing partner and then you see multiple banks and then of course you click on your bank and then you log in from there. So I'm going to do that very quickly and then we'll continue. So once you log in, you see your account, you see where it says view the application you submitted. So if you submitted an application in the past, they will all show up here. If you scroll down, you see where it says continue an application you haven't submitted. If you have an ongoing application that you have not submitted, you see it here. All right, so where you want to go to is here, where it says apply to come to Canada. You click on that. And then you click on this under the I don't have a personal reference code. You click on visitors visa, study and or work permit. Now let's answer these questions. So it's asking, what would you like to do in Canada? You click on study. How long are you planning to stay in Canada? Temporarily more than 6 months. Select the code that matches the one in your passport. You choose your country. What is your current country or territory of residence? If you're in Canada, select Canada. Do you have a family member who is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident and is 18 years or older? For me, I'll select no. If it's a yes for you, select yes. Now, what is your date of birth? You select your date of birth. I'm going to just put a random date. Do you have a provincial or territorial attestation letter or meet an exemption from submitting a provincial or territorial attestation letter? So you click on this one, yes, I meet an exception, because if you're going to extend your study permit, you don't need to submit a provincial attestation letter. All right. Now, are you a lawful permanent resident of US with a valid US citizenship card? No. What is your current immigration status in Canada? You choose student. Now, what is your marital status? If you're married, you choose that. If you're not married, you just choose never married or single. What is your province or territory of destination? If you're extending your study permit, you must have been in a province already. So I'll just click on my province, which is Manitoba. Now you can see the results that shows up. We're eligible to apply for study permit in Canada and a temporary residence visa. Now, if you're extending your study permits, you obviously want to click on study permit in Canada. The temporary residence visa is something that you would need to have if you're traveling out of the country and you're going to return to Canada. All right. But for sure, you need to extend your study permit first before you can apply for TRV. Chances is that your TRV is going to expire the same day as your study permit. So your study permit comes first, You extend that. And then if peradventure you want to travel out of the country, you would need to extend your TRV separately after your study permit extension has been approved. Does that make sense? Now, if you want to know how to extend your TRV, I have a separate video which I will link at the top for you to go and watch that. But for this video, we're focused on study permit extension. So let's click on this. Now we're going to answer more questions. Are you accompanying a family member who has status in Canada? No. Do you also want to apply for a work permit? No. Now, if your program requires that you apply for a co-op work permit, then you click on yes here. But for the most part, some programs or most programs will require that you don't need a co-op work permit, so you click on no. When does your status in Canada expire? So now you put the dates on your study permit, the date that is going to expire. I'll just put an arbitrary date here just for the sake of it, right? So next question is, have you had a medical exam performed by an IRCC authorized panel physician or doctor within the last 12 months? The answer is no. This place is not asking you if you've gone to see the doctor. It's asking you if IRCC has asked you to go and do medical exam in the last 12 months. Is a no. Now, if you are going to work in some healthcare fields, you would need to provide a medical exam. But if you're not, you need to click on no because you don't need to submit a medical exam. Do you want to submit an application for a family member? No. If it's yes for you, you click on yes. Now, are you giving someone access to your application? No. If you are, you click on yes. In the past 10 years, have you given your fingerprints and photo biometrics for an application to come to Canada? Yes, because you must have been in Canada for less than 10 years if you're extending your study permit, all right? And your biometrics only expires after 10 years of you coming to Canada. Does that make sense? So click on yes. Now, there are fees associated with this application. Will you be paying your fees or are you exempt? We are not exempt. So yes, I'll be paying my application fees. Are you able to make a digital copy of your documents with a scanner or camera? Yes. Will you be paying your application fee online? Yes. Now, review all of your results. Carefully make sure that you've clicked on everything that is needed to be clicked on. Most people have been denied because of the mistakes they are making in the application. They are rushing it. Don't rush your application, please. It's very important that you click on the right thing, all right? Okay. So, click on continue. Now, read through this. Step one is saying that you must log into your account and then submit an application, which is what we've done. Step two, if you select the exit button, your information will be saved and you will return to your home account. So if peradventure you want to exit this application, you can always save it and then it's going to save in that part that says continue the application that you have not submitted. Does that make sense? And you have 60 days to make sure that you submit the application. All right. So you don't have to complete everything in a day. If you forgot something and you want to come back to it, you can always do that. Step three is about uploading your document. So the documents that you upload, which we'll get into, the maximum file for each size is 4 MB. That means that you cannot submit a file that is more than 4 MB. There are many ways you can do that. You can compress the files. Just browse on Google and type PDF compressor and then you see many applications or software that will come up and then you can use any of them. They are free online. They'll compress the files for you, reduce the file size and still maintain the quality of the application. And then you can use PDF, JPEG, TIFF, PNG or Microsoft Word document. I always recommend to use PDF, please. And then it's telling you how to reduce the file size, all of the things you can do. And then step four is to pay your fees, which is at the end. Now let's continue. So you can see that there are versions of application forms that you need to fill out. So make sure that documents that you're filling out are the updated documents. So the first document you need to submit is your application form, which they've already linked here. All right. So what you will do is just to click on this and it takes you to where you can download the form. So just click on this and then it's downloaded on your computer. So I'm going to open the form and then we'll fill it together. So when you open the form, this is what you see. The form is called IMM 5709E. You see at the top, application to change conditions, extend my stay or remain in Canada as a student. All right. Now let's start filling the form. The first thing is your UCI number. Now this UCI number is on your study permit. This is a sample of a study permit. The UCI number would be here, where you see UCI on your study permit. So the number that is here is what you type out in that place. All right. And let's go back. So you type out a number here. It's always 8 to 10 digits. So let me just randomly put a number here. Now I want service in English. In this part, you click on apply for a study permit for the first time or extend my study permit. Full name, you put your full name, and then you put your name as it appears on your passport. All right. Now, have you ever used any other name, nickname, middle name? No. So I guess maybe for those that are married, they'll probably put their names here or something like that. All right. But if you don't have that, just click on no. And then your sex, your date of birth. All right. This is just a random number I'm putting here. And then city, your place of birth, your country or territory, that's where you're from. Your citizenship, also where you're from. Now, current country or territory of residence, it's already filled as Canada for you. And then your status, student. Now, in this section, you will put in the form the date that you started to be a student in Canada. So, for example, if I started my program, let's say July 2023, the two parts would be the dates that your current study permit would expire. For example, if my study permit would expire July of this year, I'll put July of this year here. Do you understand it? Now, previous country or territories of residence. During the past 5 years, have you lived in any country or territory other than your country? No. If it's a yes for you, click yes and then you list out the name of the country you've been in. Now, your current marital status. You're going to choose single. If you're married, then you click on that and then you have to fill out the name of your spouse and all of that here. Now, have you previously been married or in a common law relationship? No. Native language or mother tongue? Mine is English. Are you able to communicate in English and or French? English for me. Have you taken a test from a designated testing agency to assess your proficiency in English or French? No. Now, for study permit extension, you don't need to submit an English test. Passport number. Of course, you look at your international passport and you write out the number here. This is a random number I'm putting here. And then country and territory of issue. That will be the country where you got your passport. Issue dates, you write out dates that you got it and the day is going to expire. Now, this is very important as well. Make sure that your passport has at least 2 or 3 years grace period before you submit your study permit extension. Now, if your passport is going to expire in a year's time, I would advise you to extend your passport first before you apply for this extension because they would not give you extension more than the time on your passport. Does that make sense? Make sure your passport has at least 2 or 3 years grace period so that they can extend your study permit till that time and you have more time to be in Canada. Now, this one, you don't need this, you don't need this. Now, do you have a national identity document? This is asking for your national ID. Some people don't have national ID. For me, during my application, I clicked on yes and I put my passport number again here because I use that as my national ID. Do you get it? Now, are you a lawful permanent resident of US with a valid alien registration green card? No. Now, this is asking for your address. So I'll fill this out very quickly and then I'll continue. All right, so I filled out an arbitrary address here. Now, residential address, is it the same as billing address? Yes. Now, telephone number, Canada, US, and then you put your number. I'm going to just put a random number. Alternate telephone number, not compulsory. Fax number, not compulsory. Email address. So I'm going to just put a random email address here. Now, coming into Canada, now date and place of your original entry to Canada. So this is very important. It's asking you for the day that you came to Canada the first time. That means the day that you started to be a student. And then place of entry. So when you came to Canada, you arrived at the port of entry where you were giving your study permit. That's the place you put here. All right. It can be Toronto, it can be Montreal. There are different places. So if you can't remember it, you need to go and look for your flight ticket or whatever to remember that place. All right. And then you can write that there. You write the name of the place you arrived, the city you arrived, and then the airport number. You know, different airports have different codes, right? So you can write the code of the airport that you arrived in. Now, the original purpose of coming to Canada, it is to study. Date and place of your most recent entry to Canada, if not the same as the original entry. So if peradventure you've traveled out of Canada and you came back, that date is what you put here. But if you've not done that, then it would be the same date as the date that you came the first time. Does that make sense? I'm going to just put that I traveled last year, December. And then again, you need to write the port of entry that you came after you re entered Canada. That's if you traveled. Do you get it? All right. Now, document number is going to be on your study permit. Let's go back and check the study permit. Now, this is your document number here. It always starts with F, not this one at the top, not this red one. It's going to start with F something. So you write that here. I'll put a random number here. Now, name of school, you put your level of study, you put your field here, and then you fill out the province of the school, the city, and then the school address should be here as well. And then your DLI. So your university will have a DLI. So basically, just type it on Google, simple. University of Manitoba or whatever university that you have, DLI number, and then it shows up very easily. You see it, you copy it, and then you come and you paste it here. That's it. The student ID number, you put it here. I'll put a random number. So for the duration of expected study, in this place, what you need to put is the day after your study permit expires. Okay? In this front place, you won't put the day you started your school. Do you understand? If I put that here, it's going to show as incorrect because the date that should be here should be greater than today's date. Do you understand? So for the two parts, it's very important that you add more time to the expected graduation date. Imagine I'm going to finish my program December 25, right? Instead of putting that as my two dates, as the expected duration of study, I would add at least 1 year to that and put that as my expected graduation date. Do you understand? So that you give yourself at least 1 year grace period to apply for PGWP and do whatever you want to do. And also, sometimes some people don't graduate when they think they'll graduate. Something might happen. So instead of you having to extend again, just give yourself at least 1 year or 2 years from your expected graduation date. I hope that makes sense. So now, if I estimate to graduate December of this year, I'm going to give myself 2 years as the expected graduation date. I hope that makes sense. Now, tuition will be your tuition fee for the year. If you're paying 17,000, 15,000, you put that there. Room and board, you can just put 1,000 or 2,000. Or that you can leave that empty. And then funds available for my stay in Canada. Now, this is very important. If you're someone that has a scholarship, a funding from a supervisor, you will put the total amount of the funding here. For example, if you got a scholarship of $21,000, you put that here. But if you're someone that's paying by yourself, you need to put that amount as well here. And the amount that you need to have is now, if you check Google, you will see that it says that the amount that you need to have to extend your stay in Canada is $20,635 for a single student per year. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to have this exact amount in your account, but you need to show proof that you can have this amount. Does that make sense? Either from your parents' bank statement, either from your own bank statement, either from funding from a supervisor or from scholarships. You need to show proof that for that year you would have this amount for living expense and for your stay in Canada for a year. Does that make sense? Because you attach proof of that to your application. Okay. Now, my expense in Canada will be paid by either parents, myself, or others. If you have scholarship, you choose myself. If your parents are paying you, you choose your parents. If you have other means of payment, you choose other, and then you explain that here. All right. So I'll just choose myself since I said I have scholarship, right? Now, in addition to a study permit, are you also applying for a work permit? No. If you have been issued a Quebec acceptance certificate, provide the certificate number, all of that. We don't have that there. You can leave that empty. Now, if you have been issued a provincial attestation letter, PAL or TAL, provide the number here. Again, for study permit extension, you don't need to provide this letter. So we'll leave that empty. It says if you're under the age of majority of the province or territory where you intend to study, you must fill out a custodian declaration. So I think if you're under 18, you need to fill out this IMM 5646, but I don't think that will apply to most people. Now, education. Have you had any post-secondary education? Yes. So you fill all of that here. I'll do that very quickly now. You write out the date you started and the day you're going to end, and then the country. So for employment, you can see the first part says current activity or occupation. Now, if you don't have a job in this part, because it's required, you can see asterisk here, right? Just write the same thing that you're doing, like students. Write your student status. If you're a master student, write MSc student, undergraduate student, PhD student, right? As your current activity because you're not working. All right. But if you have an employment, remember you can work 20 hours per week as a student. If you have that, then you can write that here. But if you don't have that, then just write your current occupation as your student status. Does that make sense? Now, if you have previous work experience, you can write them here. You have space for two more. But if you have more work experience and the space is not enough for you to write everything, you can write out in a separate document all of your work experience and you attach that differently at the end. And I'll show you where to do that. All right. So fill out all of your employment experience here. Then it says, within the past 2 years, have you or family member ever had tuberculosis of the lung? No. Do you have any physical mental disorder that will require social or health services? No. Have you ever remained beyond the validity of your status or worked without authorization in Canada? No. Have you ever been refused a visa or permit or denied entry? No. Have you ever previously applied to enter or remain in Canada? For this one, you click on yes because you're in Canada. So that means that you applied for something. And then you write that here. Since you're applying for a study permit extension, it means that you must have applied for a study permit previously, right? So you write study permit here and then the dates that you applied for it. For example, maybe April 2020. You write it as 2C here because that's the question you're answering. You get you're answering 2C. So you write it here. And if, for example, you've applied before for a study permit extension, maybe this extension you're doing is another extension and you've applied for extension before, then you need to write that here as well. Do you get it? So whatever application you've made before to remain in Canada or to enter Canada, write them out here. Now, have you ever committed, been arrested, or been charged with a crime? No. Did you serve in any military, militia? No. Now, are you or have you ever been a member or associated with any political party? No. Have you ever witnessed or participated in the ill treatment of prisoners? No. Do you consent to be contacted by CIC? Yes. Now you write your name and then the date. So that will be the date that you're applying. All right. So once you're done, you will click on validate. This will help you to know if you filled out everything in the form or if you made a mistake somewhere or if you excluded something. All right. So let's do it. So we missed out something in telephone number here. It's asking for type. Okay. Let's say cellular. All right. So let's see if it works. We also missed out province somewhere. The complete address of the school. We missed that out. Okay, so this is the address of the school. So let's see if it works now. Validate. So yes, it works. So once you have successfully validated the document, you see like this barcode thing that will come out here showing that everything is complete. However, it is your responsibility to make sure that every information that you put in this document is correct. This validation can only show you if you made an error with the date or if you filled an invalid date, but it won't tell you if you made a mistake in the name of university, or for example, if you click no here instead of yes, it won't tell you all of that. It can only tell you based on some things, but not everything. So make sure that everything you filled out in this form is correct before you submit it. All right, take your time, check your UCI number, check your document number, check the date on your study permit that it aligns with this one here. Everything should be correct. And then once you're done, you click on Control S, you save it, and then you can upload it. So once you've saved the file, you will come and then you click on Upload File, and the file will be saved here. Now for the supporting documents, this proof of provincial attestation letter wasn't there before. This is a new requirement now. All right. So in this part, if you click on this, it says, please upload a document showing the exception you meet. If you don't have a specific document that proves you meet one of the exceptions, please attach a letter of explanation to note how one of the exceptions applies to your situation. So, like I said, if you're applying for a study permit extension, you don't need to submit a PAL or a TAL letter. All right, you're exempted. However, they want proof of that. What I recommend is that you just write a short letter of explanation to show that you meet the exemption. Just write that you are already enrolled in the university as a student and you're applying to extend your study permit, which means that you don't need to submit a PAL or a TAL letter. And you can also attach your letter of acceptance to this part or your transcript. Just attach anything that will show that you're currently enrolled in the school as a proof that you're exempted from this letter. I hope that makes sense. Now, for this passport, you submit your international passport, of course. Now, you submit the page that shows your birth date, your country of origin, and then if any pages have stamps or visa markings, you would take a picture of that and also attach them here as well. If you don't have a passport, you can use other travel documents that is issued by government and should include all of this there. All right. The next document is letter of acceptance or letter of enrollment or registration. Now, if you're applying for a study permit for the first time, you need to submit your letter of acceptance, which is basically issued by your DLI on official letterhead, shows exact amount of tuition fees and all of that, right? However, if you are a student applying to extend your study permit, please request the DLI in Canada to issue a letter of enrollment or registration. Now, when I was doing mine, I got my enrollment letter and my registration history. Basically, just email your school to ask for the letter of enrollment. That alone should be fine here. But I'll recommend that you also request your registration history as well, which will basically show you all of the courses you've registered for and the years that you've been active as a student in that school. I recommend that any and everything you can attach, just attach them. I mean, you don't have to follow this, but what I would recommend is that in this part, you attach your transcripts, your letter of acceptance, and you write a short letter of explanation to show that you're exempted from this PAL letter. While in this part, you would submit your letter of enrollment and your registration history to show that you are currently enrolled in the school. Does that make sense? Now, for the proof of means of financial support, in this part, you can submit as much as you want. This is where you want to look at. All of these things, just read them. The ones that you should be able to get is the bank statement for the past 4 months, the proof of payment of tuition and accommodation fees. Now, before you apply for this extension, make sure you have paid your tuition fee for that semester, all right, because you will show proof of that. Again, ask your school to print out the payment history to show that you've paid your fees from the beginning of your school till the current time. And then tax report as well. Just print out your tax report for that year. And then proof of students or education loan if you have that. A letter from the person or institution providing you with money. If your supervisor is funding you, you will get a letter from them to show that they are funding you. And also, if you have a scholarship, you would also submit that letter to show that you have a scholarship. So whatever thing applies to you here, just attach everything into one file and then submit that. Submit as much as you can and then you upload that here. Now for the digital photo, basically your passport photograph, you want to look at this place, make sure it follows all of this instruction here. Just go to any Canada Post office and then they will be able to take a picture of that. But make sure it follows all of these things highlighted here. All right. Now for the optional documents, if you're submitting an application outside of Canada, you will need to download this form and fill it out. So that's only for those that are not currently in Canada. Now, for the client information, this is where you want to write out anything that you think is necessary. So if you have any extra thing that you need to explain to the visa officer, you can write out a letter of explanation and attach that here. Also, like I said before, if you have a long work history and you were not able to fit everything in that form, you can write them out in a separate document and attach that here as well. So whatever thing that you think is important that you've not attached here before, you can attach them here in the client information. If you want a response very fast, just attach everything that you think is important. All right. So once you've uploaded all of the documents that you need, then you can pay your fees. There would be an option for you to go further where you need to pay your fees. For me, I can't do that because I can't go past this page. But for you, once you've attached all of the documents, there should be a button here that says continue or next or something like that, and then you can pay your fees and then your application will be submitted. Now, before you submit your application, again, make sure you go through it very carefully so that you will not have any issues. All right, very important. So once you're done, your application should be showing here as submitted, and you can always check for the status of your application here. All right. Now, I hope that video has helped you to understand how to extend your study permit. I know it was a bit long, but I wanted it to be very detailed so that I would answer all of the questions that you might have. And if you have more questions, please drop them in the comment section and I'll be happy to answer them. Now, if this video has helped you, what you can do for me is to like the video, subscribe, comment, share the video, turn on your post notification to get more videos from me. All right. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.